What's up, everybody, and welcome to the next episode of the Untitled FWA podcast, which is the Mile High recap podcast. And we've got a podcast expert with us, SS.
Good evening.
and we've got the Prodigy making his second appearance after we did the one-on-one a few months ago, around back in business time. Actually, it seems like it was not that long ago, but it actually was a good bit. So what's up, Prod? How are you? And I hope you're recovering. I know you talked about having COVID in Discord. I hope you're feeling better. It sounds like you are.
For sure, yeah. Thank you. I'm getting there, but thanks for having me on again.
Absolutely. So to follow SS's blueprint, and SS is gracious enough to let me host this one, and he can be the color guy, jumping in with his input. We're gonna follow the same format he has. We're screen share and kind of going along segment by segment, and we'll talk about the results and the promos and the grades. And to start off, SS, I got to give props again. The first 5 minutes is just me shouting out SS for handling the posting of the entire pay-per-view and figuring out the schedule and sticking to it to the second, aside from Regan Cole's success, which he waited a minute just because it's Regan Cole. But he laid this out perfectly with a lot of advance. I think everyone loved it. I think everyone just generally likes the kind of timed out post in parts. It makes me feel like I'm actually watching a wrestling show.
There's been a lot of like positive feedback about that. Battle Tank was saying it reminded him of some of like the old school kind of BTBs that used to do it in that way. And it definitely like created a bit of buzz, I think, on the forum, even on Boxing Day. There wasn't maybe as many people as were about for back in business, but it was still like, quite a lot of people in the thread all reading together. So yeah, it was definitely a good thing that we should do again for the next pay-per-views. Yeah. The excellently named next pay-per-view, if I might say so.
The Grand March.
The Grand March.
Purge got purged, and Man's Mitsubishi or Fast Man wanted to do a racing themed, and that is being saved for something specific, something else. But the Grand March, Purge is no more. Prod, how do you feel? I know you commented in Discord that RIP Purge. I'm not sure if you were saying that sarcastically or not, but
it's always very sarcastic, to be honest. So yeah, no, I wasn't sad to see it go. I do need convincing on the Grand March, but I'm probably talking to the wrong audience here with this. But yeah, Purge was.
We were talking about it on the. I don't know, the day after Mile High, maybe a couple of days after. I was on the train, I was reading my book, and there was a whole section about the Grand March. It seemed to fit quite well, the Grand March of history, as like different obstacles like arise on the march, and eventually things that were kind of the objects of the march became more obstacles to overcome, and it was quite an interesting passage. So I just suggested that. If you disagree, it basically means that you're illiterate and beneath me, but it's okay, But yeah, I think it's a good name. It's better than Purge for sure. So we'll see how we go with the Grand March in March.
I was a big proponent of doing Mardi Gras Mayhem or something, but it doesn't add up. And also I'm biased because I'm from New Orleans, and yeah.
We've got a New Orleans show coming up though, I think, for Meltdown.
We do. That is true. So anyway, we're going into the results thread. Hey, hold on 1 second, guys. I'm gonna pause this for a second. I want to see. I want to where the Okay, we're recording. I just want to make sure we're recording. All right, sorry.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1. So going into the results. The specific results part, we have December 26th, live from the Ball Arena in Denver, Colorado. I usually do not listen to the theme song and I listened to this one, and then I actually was listening to it while I was reading the intro, and it was really, really well done. Just timed perfectly. I specifically liked the what's the occasion kind of right around here. Anyway, I forget who wrote this. Was it you, SS, or was it Man?
Yeah, it was me, and it was I didn't know that Gift was doing a video for it at this point, so I wrote this and put it in, and then the next night Gift sent me an actual video introduction, which is also in there, so we've got kind of like 2 video packages.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, no, and Gip did an excellent job. Yeah, this is where I was talking about. What's the occasion? What's the occasion? Yeah, I thought it was really well done. And the intro packages have been, the game has been upped in 2022, or 2021. I mean, it used to be just kind of like, here's some signs and here's the commentary. I think that it's been a lot better. It just feels kind of more grandiose. Everything about the FWA feels a little bit more grandiose in a good way.
Yeah,
The commentary intro, I wrote this part, so you can blame me for the climax counter. Brock and Christian Quinn kind of going back and forth a little bit, and again, here's Gibbs' video, and then we jump into the first match, which was the World Tag Team Championships, which is a Mile High Massacre match. The first time ever a tag team match in Mile High Massacre. The Hollywood Saints, Death Switch Initiative, the New Breed. I know, Prod, you were of course disappointed, but understandably had very good reasons why you couldn't get a promo in. But I know you were probably disappointed for it.
Very much so.
Yeah, and then Osos Locos. I'm not really sure how to pronounce them. I should know. They're my team because they were revealed as Golden Rock, who were breaking all the rules. And lastly, the Gangstars. I believe that John wrote this match. I'm 100% sure on that. 99% sure. He wrote a stellar match that went 52 minutes and 62 seconds, or 53 minutes and 2 seconds. What did you guys think of the promos, the result? The match write-up was stellar. I'm not, there's really not much to say about that. Everyone got their spots in. I thought it was great. But what did y'all think of the promos and the result?
You want to go for SS?
Yeah, sure. So the promos, there was four good promos for this match. I thought the best 2 for me were Ossos Locos and the Gangstars, who were a little bit ahead of Death Switch Initiative and Hollywood Saints. Ossos Locos, I had strong views on whether they should really have been able to still compete in the match after coming out as who they are just before it. Like, I feel like stronger management over a Meltdown would have put their foot down a little bit more and realized how immoral it was for Randy Ramon to sneak his way back onto Meltdown and get another title shot.
I agree. As an unbiased person, I agree. I feel like there's no one at the steering wheel. Everyone's left the command booth over in Meltdown.
But I did think that the Ossos Locos promo was the best one, just about by I think I had it as like a 0.7 or 0.9 difference of the Gangstars. I posted a review of the Ossos Locos one. There were a few bits which I didn't like. I think not all of the songs were as successful as others. I found the most successful ones were the ones where you kind of took songs that were already vaguely linked thematically to what was going on with the characters or the match, and didn't really change much. In, for instance, the Buffy song, there were a few verses or lines that were verbatim the same, and I thought that was really successful. I wasn't as familiar as with many of the other songs, to be honest, as I should have been to really get the most out of it. But I thought it was very creative. Again, it's kind of stepping on the toes of Fallout 010, which I will mention was, well, I think we've already kind of said that that's going to be a musical episode. So this can be kind of like a prologue or a prelude to that, I guess. The Gangstars promo, I really liked the start of it with Alistair kind of over the body of Gabrielle, like kind of in his mind about that. It was very well written, I assume by Raw for that bit. And then we go into kind of like the the dynamic with him and Crash. The character's obviously always very well written. Bit of a Christmas Carol kind of nod in the middle, similarly to OMB's promo for a later match. It was a very good promo, maybe not quite as creative as in an in-your-face kind of way as the Ossos Locos one, and a little bit kind of messier in terms of presentation, I thought, than Ossos Locos, which was very good in that regard. The passages with Shannon, I think, kind of tipped it into Ossos Locos's favour for me. I thought those were some of the best in the promo, and when it was being kind of meta in a slightly less obvious way, with her being kind of like presented as Devin Golden's kindred spirit, I thought that was a lot more successful than some of the latest stuff. Like I mentioned in my review, like the T, the G, and the O being the guide, I thought was a little bit on the nose. But I did think it was just a nose ahead, and I didn't realise, but TGO pointed out this is the fourth Gangstars Golden Rock match that I've graded, and the only one that I've given to Golden Rock over the Gangstars. The other two promos, Death Switch, I thought was good. I thought it maybe took a little bit too long to get back to the characters after the abstract bit, but I really liked the ambition of that, and that the writers didn't want to do it as too direct and kind of an obvious promo. But I do think it was a little bit too removed from the characters for quite a lot of the runtime, which counted against it in the end. The Hollywood Saints was a fun promo. I liked the Joe Burr part quite a lot, with him stealing the old whiskey, I think it was, kind of reminiscent of him stealing everything he's achieved so far in the FWA. I thought some of the Sully parts were maybe a little bit on the nose in the meta kind of dimension of it, similarly to Ossos Locos, really. I thought I said in the review that at times it felt like Sully himself ranting rather than the characters. But it was a good promo all in all. I like the Lewis Carroll section. That was well written. Loved the minimalist masterpiece that was the New Breed. Thought that was breathtaking. As for the match write-up, I like Joe Burr going through the tables. That was a great spot. But yeah, I think
that was exceptional. I will say I sent SS and Man an apology before posting, saying, hey, I know you guys are going to be doing a musical. I'm sorry, and I guess I was happy to hear that there were going to be there was a lot less like imitations planned than what I did. But I wanted to make a comment about the Gangstars promo, and you mentioned Alistair in the intro standing over Gabby. I feel like this Gangstars run in particular has helped Alistair shine more than he has. I mean, I think Crash was always kind of near the top even before the Gangstars reformed, but I think mostly because of the feud with Parr. But I think that this run with the Gangstars has helped Alistair shine more than he had in the FWA before. And I think that he has kind of almost taken a bit of a center stage, whether it's the stuff with Golden and the feud with Golden that kind of, at the start of this feud with Golden Rock kind of was the main focal point, to his match with Golden at the anniversary show, to now kind of that little part of his promo. I think Alistair really has kind of grown and in stature from this run. I'm not sure if you guys agree, but I definitely think he's almost kind of become the primary character of this team.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Most of the promos, if you read them out of context, you would have Alistair almost as the star of the team. Whereas if you're probably taking history in FWA into context, you would know that Crash has been here a bit longer, has probably been a bit more in the upper echelons, for lack of a better word, and you would naturally assume he would be the leader. But no, I totally agree. Alistair's been the absolute star, and the 3 belts. I'm not going to try and do Spanish. The 3 belts thing is he's stood out. I couldn't agree any more with you, to be honest.
Yeah. SS, any thoughts on that, or how you kind of read that?
Yeah, I'd agree. I guess when I've been writing matches with the Gangstars for the CWA, Crash has always said that Alistair kind of is the leader of the team. even if Crash is maybe a little bit more successful in the FWA. As far as the team dynamic goes, like Alistair's definitely kind of like the top in that situation, I guess. But in terms of Alistair and his singles run, I think like although the tag team has helped him, he has also picked up a lot of like pretty impressive victories in singles matches recently. You know, Chris Kennedy, Ryan Rondo, Devin Golden, and of course the biggest of them all, Jean-Luc Watkins, in a mammoth encounter. So like Raw's been on fire, and I saw you predicted him for the Carnal contendership maybe, and I think he's a dark horse. He's definitely one of the ones that I'm considering for promo of the year for the one against you at the anniversary show. I thought it was a really good promo.
Yeah, I no showed it. I think I may have posted something after the fact, but I don't think I would have been able to cobble up anything even on my best day that could have beaten it. It was a great promo. It was really good. I also want to say Death Switch Initiative. I know I think the Hollywood Saints are going to win the tag titles at some point if they stick together. I just think there's too much creativity and talent between Sully and Man. But on Death Switch Initiative, the newer team, I guess, of the competitors, it was James Douglas's handler or Tommy Bedlam's handler was talking about how they'd never written a promo like that before, and they kind of went outside their box of what they maybe thought promo was, or an EFED promo was. And I just wanted to say that I thought that even if they kind of was dipping their toes in the water or whatever, that like you said, you know, talking about, you know, maybe it took a little long, but you like the ambition. I thought that I agree with you. I think that they need to keep trying with that and kind of fine tuning that, because if they do, then they will also win the tag team championships, because I think that there's some talent there.
Definitely, yeah. And I enjoyed the end of their promo as well with I can't remember if it was the general or the colonel or somebody like being introduced, a kind of mysterious leadership figure. And that's interesting. And so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, it's very hard to hit a new sort of way of writing first time around. It sometimes takes a few goes.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I love the ambition of it, to be honest. In terms of the results, I thought, well, I was a bit annoyed at also Slakos, to be honest, to enjoy it the first time. The minute you obviously DM'd me during the week, and then the minute I saw like the golden thing start, I'm like, oh, I know who this is now. And it wasn't exactly Cluso, a prime Cluso, to figure it out after reading the most recent one. But yeah, I thought the two best promos were Golden Rock and the Gangstars. The Sully and Man thing, I do agree as well. I would say if they stick at it, for sure, they've got a tag run in them. Trying to be diplomatic, though, I do have an inherent problem with accepting Sully as like the good guy. Not that he's trying to be the good guy, but there's something with the character that I can't root for him at the moment, and I think that's it's trying to lead me there a bit, and I'm just not at it. I'm not there. Maybe I will be, but I'm not there yet.
I'm not there. I'm with you. I'm not there either. I even actually messaged Sully on the side a few months ago, or a month or two ago, and I said, I think you should focus on KDS, because I think you have something with her more than you have something with Sully right now. And he said he wanted to do both, and I applaud him for that, sticking to it. But I'm with you. I'm not quite there with Sully yet. I'm more over on KDS than I am on Sully at the moment. But that's just me personally. I think Sully wants to tell both stories, which, you know, hats off to him.
A quick point on the time. I thought that was a continuation of the kind of metric theme that was going through metric measurements in mile high and 1.69 kilometer high or whatever. I thought John was giving the time in metric time at the end there with the 62. So yeah, that's why I didn't change that. But
yeah. No,
apparently it's just a botch, but there you go.
It's not inaccurate. It's just not, you know, I guess, I don't know if it is inaccurate or not.
Unconventional. That's
all. It is technically, like, there were technically 62 seconds after the 52nd minute. So after, again, I love the kind of the talk, and like Oz posting this picture of the guy aiming his arrow. I love the talk in between again, it kind of feels like I'm watching a wrestling show and we're kind of seeing this in live. And I loved the Mile High Lounge segments. I believe that there were 4 in total. And I actually like this one the most. This is Danny trying to get Harry, the Sane Wizard, to smoke a blunt. specifically some purple Incan Kush. I'm not well enough, smart enough, or experienced enough to know exactly if I pronounced that right. But he's trying to get him to smoke a blunt, and Harry is, of course, a little iffy about it. But he does eat 2 brownies, and Danny is like, "Oh, okay, well, good luck, because you're gonna be in outer space in a few minutes." I just enjoyed it. I imagine that this was a Danny, a Tig and John production, and I'm glad that we had a lot of those with them. They are magic together. But yeah, and I know you've said this, SS, that you're happy that we got more of Tig and Toner and Uncle and the nephews, because we kind of were light on them in chapter 2 on Fallout. So it was good to get them here.
Yeah, it was a funny segment. Danny Toner coercing a minor into doing drugs. Which, you know, he's seen the immorality of Randy Ramon in the opening match, and he can't be, you know, outdone even on that front. So yeah, I think that's just a bit of one-upmanship from Toner.
We go into, I believe, match number 2, which is Chris Kennedy against John Snowmantashi. Again, apologies if I mispronounced that to John. I enjoyed the entrances. I especially enjoyed the entrance that you wrote, SS, right here with the crowd.
Yeah, I didn't really enjoy yours, just because you did the Kennedy one and did it first, which meant I had to do a long one for Snowmantashi as well. And I don't really like doing long entrances, but there you go.
And I think I said this in my review. You know, the match, you know, Kenny didn't post a promo. The Snowmantashi one I was able to kind of read after deadline. I thought it was really well done. The match, you know, it was a table setting, I think, for Michelle. And I think that this was probably my favorite segment. The Toner segments were kind of comedy, but this is my, I guess, non-comedy segment of the show, just because we get Michelle coming out here, you know, this is bullshit. You know, why would John Snowmantashi give a match to Chris Kennedy when I've been asking for one for, you know, so long, years? And we get her making a challenge to John Snowmantashi for the spring at potentially a CWA show, if not an FWA show, and then also an implication that, or implying that she will be challenging Chris Kennedy at Back in Business to take away the thing that he loves, since he took away the thing that Michelle worked so hard for to make her own, which was the world title. To get a challenge for Back in Business for Kennedy this early on is unique. Usually they're kind of thrown together last second. I say thrown together as if it's a criticism. It's not, but, you know, thrown together in the sense of like, let's give Kennedy, you know, Jiggy wants a match. Jiggy is coming back. He wants to do one. Let's see what we can do. To get one this early on with a little bit of build is rare and fun. So what was the, you know, when did this kind of, I guess I can ask you, SS, directly, when did this kind of come together? Was this something that was kind of always in the plans, or was this something that kind of materialized once Snowmantashi Kennedy formed as a
This segment wasn't in the plan until after Kennedy no-showed, really. I pitched it to John after Kennedy no-showed. I said that Michelle should just come out and wreck it to build towards the kind of redemption in the truth match later on. As well as like building these 2 potential matches, which I've been speaking to John and Jiggy about anyway. So yes, the challenge is there from Michelle. It's not clarified yet whether Kennedy's going to take it or whether Jiggy wants any. You know, like he might want a slightly easier match for Back in Business. Who knows? Like, I'm not in Jiggy's mind. Not yet, anyway. But it's yeah, we'll see if he's up for the challenge. But yeah, and I think the next week on Meltdown, I think the first match in Tag Wars is going to be MVH and Grayson against Kennedy and Truth, I think, maybe. So that'll be interesting for the next the next edition of that. To go straight into that following this segment.
That's gonna be a blockbuster, especially to kind of jump right into getting Kennedy and Michelle back into a ring. Prod, any again, I know, I'm not sure if you were able to read the Snowmatashi promo. Kennedy no-showed. Then of course we have the segment with Michelle, and you have with Mike Parr a lot of experience with feuding with Michelle. What do you think about Michelle going forward and her mentality and her focus on Kennedy and John Snowmatashi?
For sure. I think she needed it, to be honest. I did get to read John's promo, and I really enjoyed it. It was my first sort of exposure of the character, apart from that segment on the show before the pay-per-view, which I thought was absolutely awesome.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, there've been, I mean, I'd hate to say Chris Kennedy's like the John Cena of FWA, but there have been kind of moments where Chris Kennedy has gotten just his brains beat in, kind of like Cena has at times to build a match. But it is effective. It is really, really effective. So anyway.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. But I would be of the line of thinking that I know from reading a lot of SS's stuff that I would have assumed if John was coming over, the match would have been with Michelle. But that's
me too, Prod. Yeah.
But I was a bit bummed that Kennedy wasn't able to get one in for sure. But what you did with the match and the aftermath is probably making the best out of it, and I do think she needed some direction. The Cyrus thing was great. Cyrus is great, but it very much felt like a placeholder, unfortunately, and I don't think that was helped by the fact it was like 3-1 with the draw in there. That just kind of felt it was, these guys have little to do. Let's make sure we get here regardless. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. It's just the impression I got from it. But I very much enjoyed the challenges that were laid out, and I very much looking forward to reading and seeing how it turns out. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to the Michelle Cyrus match. I can understand where Prod's coming from with that. We're gonna get to the Michelle Cyrus match in a second. Again, more chatter, and then we have. I'm getting a thing about how we need to upgrade our Zoom. Hold on one second. I'm just gonna have to. I might just have to stop and start it again. We'll see. We'll see if it actually boots me. Anyway, 3, 2, 1. And then we go to the next post from SS, which has Golden doing a little bit of weird talking stuff, basic heel stuff, saying I was right the whole time, I told you so, yada yada yada. I'm gonna leave. Ramon's got this, which is important for later on in the show.
Yeah, classic Golden.
Yeah, but generally being kind of weird.
Was it always the plan?
Was it always the plan for what? For Golden to leave?
For him to come back, because I fell for it. I thought he'd gone. So was it always the plan for him to re-emerge here? Like, I know he was hanging around and stuff, and I know he had promos, but I thought he genuinely retired type thing.
Oh, I see what you're saying. No, the plan. All right, so Asos Locos. I was watching an old WCW show. No, the plan was for him to be done. I was watching an old WCW show after Lights Out, and it was. I'm not sure if you guys would be able to place this at all if you watch this, but it was the show when DDP dressed as La Parka and beat Randy Savage with the La Parka mask on. This is like 1997, and I was like, oh, we should just dress as a team and we can imitate people. And that's kind of how it's formed. And I talked to John. I was like, "Hey, what do you think about the ethics of this idea?" And he was like, "It's fine." He's like, "I'm always about it. You just got to find a way to hide it, and not use ellipses all the time, and you're gonna have to somehow not grade your matches," which we were able to do, just because sometimes people no showed or it was 2-0. And at some point I was like, look, I think I even told Sean, and I told John too, like, I'm gonna have to at least tell our opponents, or at least give them the opportunity to say, like, do they want to know or not. And I think I even told you, Prod. I was like, do you want to know who it is or not? Do you want to stay in suspense? Half the people said let's know about it. Half the people said I want to stay in suspense. So, but yeah, no, the original idea was for Golden to retire, and then I watched that DDP put on take off his La Parka mask, and I was like, let me try this. And that was more or less it. And Sean was all about it because Sean was a little heartbroken that Golden Rock was done. So this was like a chance to kind of hold on to it. But in this segment specifically, Golden is like, I'm going to leave the arena. And that is important, obviously, for the end of the night. But Golden is just kind of doing weird shit here, saying, you know, I told you so. And we get back to the second segment of the Mile High Lounge, which is Danny Toner and Thomas West. And Thomas West is giving him a lot of feedback about the name and the music and the setup, and he even tries to become the host of the segment at some point, which was, I thought, really funny. And then they eventually kind of get to like a common ground, and then Uncle shows up, and Uncle is mad that Toner gave Harry some brownies, and you know, there's a whole little seeds planted for later on in the show. But again, it's gold. It's amazing stuff. The more I read this one, the more I'm like, maybe this one was better than the Harry segment. I'm not sure. But both of them are top notch, just good comedy, especially Thomas West trying to become the host of the segment like randomly. That was good. Anyway, I don't know what more to say except it's just really, really good stuff. Then we get to match number 3, which is Caden Knox against Sean Summers against Cleo DeSantos for a shot at the X Championship. This match was written by me. I enjoyed how different everyone's styles were. I especially like writing for Cleo DeSantos and Sean Summers. Caden Knox, I'm still trying to figure out. It says that he's like a kind of like a risk taker. But I always kind of envision Caden Knox as being like kind of a powerhouse. So I'm trying to kind of, it's when I write the matches, I'm thinking Knox is a powerhouse because he's just kind of has that aura of him. But then, you know, I read his moveset and it's all, you know, he's doing like 5 flips. So, but Summers and KDS are a lot of fun to write for. And Sean Summers takes this win, which is awesome. It's a big win for Comeback Kid. I know that he had mentioned that he was a little frustrated with a couple of losses in a row. So this is a big win for him. There was a lot of Sean Summers misogyny in here, or at least a little bit of Sean Summers misogyny. Like, you know, saying effing bitch after Cleo almost lost, and trying to get Knox to double team when Knox actually turned on Summers there. But anyway, what did y'all think of the promos and the result here?
I thought the result was the right one, but I'm kind of a sucker for Summers, to be honest. I've enjoyed every single thing he's done. I know Comeback Kid was saying about how he was on some sort of losing streak, which was genuinely news to me because I didn't really notice, and I think I said it to him in there. I was like, if someone's on a losing streak, it's not that important if the character works there. Like, sure, it's going to hamper you to a point, but I didn't actively notice, and that just is a testament to how well he writes them. Like, he's got Summers pretty much down to a T. Cleo stuff. Cleo I've generally really enjoyed. Sully does a great job, and I think it's a nice change up for him. And I would tend to agree with, I think it was yourself that said earlier, I do tend to prefer Cleo's stuff right now. Caden was a good promo as well. I just looking to it because I just read them all quickly this morning, the ones I hadn't covered yet. But Caden kind of needs something for me. Obviously, they had the big win it back in business. I kind of lost touch with Caden Knox in the intervening period. I think he might have taken a break or something as well. I'm probably not as close to it as I should be. But yeah, I thought it was I thought the promos were close. I had Sean and Cleo sort of if I was grading them together, I would probably have left, about half a point in it. It wasn't much in it, but I'm kind of really happy that Summers got the win just because of how much I enjoy the character, to be honest.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said there. I think I also had Sean Summers winning here. I liked his kind of like his journey into I can't remember exactly what it was, like Indian reservation or something like that, where he has a chat to one of the village elders. And he's told he'll find himself or something, but I liked how he was looking for Ocean, I think, but then found Jonathan Summers, as CBK is calling him now. I'm pretty sure he's Jonathan Summers at some point, but I don't know. But yeah, so this kind of in a reflection of his more darker side talks to him at the end of the promo, and those bits are always really well written by CBK. I liked Caden's. I thought it was quite creative. He kind of had a take on A Christmas Carol. That was where he went with his promo. I thought it was a big improvement on the grammar and presentation side of things over the last 2 weeks, but still a little bit behind the other two promos in that regard. But there's creativity there, and it was well written, with Knox going on a journey of self-discovery. I did think at the end of the promo where he meets this new character, I can't remember her name, Montana or something like that. I think the impact of that is lessened maybe by Caden Knox meeting a new peripheral character once every kind of few promos. We've seen him kind of drum up new relationships. As for the Cleo promo, it had more of kind of a cleaner narrative, I guess, than the other two. It was a kind of a simple story, I think, deliberately so, with Cleo building this relationship with the guy. I think his name is Dan. I don't know how successful it was in getting the relationship over as kind of a believable and natural relationship. Cleo herself, like kind of letting her tough exterior down quite easily at the start of the promo, seemed a little bit out of character maybe. The central metaphor with the mouse, just don't kill the mouse really, I guess. It was all immediate heel tactics by Sully, I think, like killing that poor thing at the start. Ties into what Prod was saying about him just not being a very likable guy really. But yeah, I don't know if the central metaphor was strong enough. I'm not sure if that's the right way of putting it, but at the end of it, with Cleo being told she needs to grow up again, I don't know. I don't know if it was successful in driving home what it wanted to. I did think it was stronger than Knox promo, and I had Sean Summers by, I think, a point over Cleo. But yeah, 3 good promos. I enjoyed all 3, but I do think Sean Summers was the worthy winner.
I think I agree with you guys. I think I had it exactly the same order. Summers the top, Cleo second, and Knox third. Again, I think like you said, the presentation, it was better, but it was still a little bit behind. I do think like the Christmas story, past, present, future is a little bit overdone at times, especially around Christmas time. It's almost like it's kind of like just something that you expect that someone's going to do, at least one person's going to do every year.
Yeah, we had the Gang Stars kind of alluding to that, those sorts of promos in theirs, which was funny after having read the Knox one. Right. I do think with the presentation, though, sorry to interrupt the presentation, I think Cleo was ahead of Summers as well, I think, in that regard. I think the Summers promo had a bit of kind of coding errors and that kind of stuff, which got in the way. But yeah.
And I think the Summers, one of my favorite parts of the Summers promo, I could be misremembering all of this, but there was like Summers was in the ocean, and I think, or he was in the water and Trevor was out there. It might have been like an attempted suicide attempt for Summers, and Trevor was out to save him. It could have been a metaphor, it could have been a dream sequence, it could have been something else, but they had an interaction there, and I think in the promo, and I really enjoyed that. And with the KDS promo, I actually think Sully does a really good job of like taking a really simple concept like a mousetrap and like turning into a whole promo. I think he does that pretty regularly, and I think he's pretty effective at it. Actually, it's one of his strongest traits as a writer. I would have liked the mousetrap to kind of get tied up in a little bit more maybe than it was, but I also understand that the whole concept was that there really wasn't any sort of differentiation in how to respond to the mouse, and Cleo has to grow up and etc. But it kind of left a little bit wanting for something more at the end that was different than what it was at the beginning, at least from my point of view. But anyway,
yeah, I think I fall into that trap as well sometimes, because there's some other promos that we'll get to that I felt like probably went a bit too long. But then I'm also thinking the Cleo one kind of just sort of, I think it ended with her and Dan like in bed or something, and she was like, "Oh yeah, time to grow up," which is a simple ending, which is fine. But I think, yeah, I just wanted a final sort of punch for me in that regard. Whereas the Summers one, I thought it was, it kind of makes me edgy reading it. Like I read the first line and I remember it was to do with childbirth or something like that. And I immediately thought, oh, where's he going with this? It turns out it wasn't that bad, but relatively that bad. But it's just a feeling you get when you read him compared to the other two particularly sort of resonated with me. That's for sure.
We jump next into the next post from SS. I think it's probably the fourth or fifth post actually, which is Danny trying to get an interview in with Quiet. And while I do think this is gonna sound like a criticism, while I do think it was still funny, I think that this was probably the weakest of the four of the Mile High Lounge, just because there's only so much you can do with Danny trying to get Quiet to talk when Quiet literally in his name, his namesake says it, he's not going to. So it's more or less Danny just kind of interviewing a wall. But I'm in that regard, like it was a lot shorter than the other ones, so appropriately. But it didn't have kind of the same back and forth humor that the other three had, and we'll get to the fourth one in a second. Next, we go into the North American title match between Chris Crow and Marcus McLean. And I think I may have even said this in my review. No, this is not a knock on Jimmy. I think Jimmy actually has grown leaps and bounds with the Marcus McLean character and just as a writer and with the UA as well. But I think that this was the most definitive result just because of the quality of that Chris Crow promo. Which was long and I think a lot of people have said the same thing, was probably a little too long, probably dragged on a little too much, probably jumped around a little bit. I know SSU said this, and I'm going to throw it to you. But I still think that the way that BattleTank has kind of progressed and improved as a writer, I really don't want to say like something mean, but this became a little bit of a mismatch as we got to the pay-per-view, just because I think that Chris Crow is probably he's probably advanced a few levels up from where he was at the start of this pay-per-view. Anyway, SS, I'll throw this one to you. I know you've definitely had some thoughts on the Crow promo as well, kind of the same as I just echoed.
Yeah, pretty much more of the same. I really enjoyed the Crow promo. I think you're right that BattleTank is like kind of taken this to this immediately, like really well. His promo on Meltdown 9 was fantastic. This one, it was, I think, too long. Well, not necessarily too long. It was fun to read. All of it was fun to read, but it was maybe a bit disjointed. As I said in my review, jumps around quite a lot. Could easily have been 2 or even 3 promos, I think. But it was a very good read, and like he's legit, and I think it's going to be very difficult to shift away from the North American Championship. The McLean promo was maybe a little bit more simple and straightforward. Kind of a conversation with his nephew, his literal nephew, as opposed to nephew in the uncle sense of the word. But I do think we've kind of seen these promos quite a lot from McLean and from Jimmy as well. Whereas the Chris Crow promos definitely feel a lot more fresh and unique. Each one quite different. And I'm looking forward to seeing where he goes after this match. And the destruction of McLean after the match as well was another good moment for Death Switch Initiative. So yes, that stable's exciting, and I think that might be the end of McLean. I'm not sure if that's the case, but yeah. It was a resounding win, as he said, and she's nothing against Jimmy, but like a very good Battle Town promo.
I also, it's good to see that Switch initiative as a stable get a big beat down heel moment. It's tough for me to associate Crow as a heel, but he, you read his promo and I don't associate Crow as being a heel, and then I read the results and I'm like, oh yeah, he's definitely a heel. So I don't know. There's a little bit of a disconnect there, a little bit. He just doesn't do many heely things in his promos. But anyway, Prod, what do you how do you feel as though this one went out and the Crow promo?
Same line of thinking. Generally, the Crow promo was well written, obviously, but it didn't really hit with me a whole bunch. I don't think. I think it was the I want to say the MVH promo. I don't remember which one that was, but I think that was like head and shoulders above this one for me. It might be a length thing. Maybe it's that simplistic. I don't know, but possibly so. Jimmy with the UA and Marcus. I think since the brand split, he's probably benefited arguably as much as anyone that was here before the split. And I've kind of really enjoyed a lot of stuff that he's done. I do think, though, obviously, I think Crow had this win for sure. But that's not a slight on Jimmy by any means. I think anyone, a lot of people that we have would have struggled against Crow with that promo, even though it didn't quite connect for me.
I think that he's, SS mentioned this, he's done a lot of like it's UA does it too. Here he does it with UA as well. He'll have them interacting with their nephew or their son, and it does kind of humanize the characters a little bit. But it can be kind of a retread. I forget exactly the relationship, but I know that he has Savage and Phoenix. I think it's Savage's kid and Phoenix is the uncle or the godfather or whatever, and Phoenix is generally just being perverted. But he's done that kind of promo a lot, and like SS has said, Jimmy is, I think he does well with it. I don't think it's a flaw of his or a weak spot, but I think that he has kind of done that a few times. And it can be kind of it does lose the freshness, like SS said. We go into the next post, which starts off with a segment between Yuna and Khonshu, and I really enjoyed. We had the UA. Speaking of the UA, we had them attacking Epsilon and really hurting him on the Go Home Fallout show, Fallout 09, and I really enjoyed, because I was kind of wondering like, how is that going to be tied into Khonshu going for the world title? And I really enjoyed how Cyrus was able to kind of connect them together by saying, no one from Fallout management has taken any sort of action about what happened. What about my teammates? They've all just been completely quiet about it. I thought that he did a really good job there in terms of tying that in with his intentions and his focus for the Mile High main event. What did you guys think?
Yeah, justice for Epsilon. Yeah, I'm majorly invested in the whole story that Khonshu's got going on at the moment. He keeps refusing to use triple digits for Fallout numbering, but other than that, I'm a massive Khonshu fan at the moment. Yeah, which we'll get to in the main event discussion, I'm sure.
Yeah. We go into the last Mile High Lounge episode, which starts with Uncle basically saying that the Mile High Lounge has been discontinued and canceled, that it was really poor, and Danny Toner is an overhyped piece of shit. I don't mean Asas Loco sneaky. I mean really sneaky PAJ sneaky. I see and it's really good stuff. I really enjoyed it. And then just kind of Uncle and Danny going back and forth, and it makes me wonder whether I want Uncle and Danny as a feud or Uncle and Danny as a tag team, because either way, their back and forth is just really enjoyable. Which was y'all's favorite? I should ask, which was y'all's favorite of the Mile High Lounge segments? I still think I'm going to go with the Harry segment at the end. I'm going to stand by that, but yeah.
The second one a lot with West, and I like the fourth one because we get substantial Uncle in that. But yeah, probably the second one, I think.
I enjoyed the first two more than the latter two, I would say. But yeah, I can never get enough Danny Toner, to be honest. It's it's sickening, but I enjoy anything he's in at the moment.
Yeah, he's he kind of, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a WWE person or someone who's like super over in wrestling to compare him to. He's just over. Even when he does like a segment like that, doesn't have to be in a promo or a match. He just has to do a segment, and he's like super over.
Yeah. It's going to be difficult to pick between Toner and Uncle if they do feud, because there are a lot of people's two favorite characters in the FWA at the moment. So
yeah. We go into the secular spectacular, which was my favorite in terms of the fun category on the show. I thought it was super fun. We start off with Greg, the UA. We go to Regan Cole, and then Sawyer Xavier. We go to the Crimson Ghost, Aka Yuri. I believe I pronounced that correctly. And then Charles Leroy. Ratton McKitchen, is that I'm gonna assume that's close in pronunciation.
Doesn't matter. Who cares?
Doesn't matter. Who cares? Gerald Grayson, who has one of my favorite theme songs, might be top 5 at this point. It's slowly, every time I hear it, I'm like, I like it a little bit more and a little bit more.
Well, he's got a new theme song. If you check out,
no. Wait, say it again.
Well, no, not replacing this one. He's got a new tag team theme song.
Oh, his new tag team theme song. Okay, all right.
Thread.
Okay.
He's got a new tag team entrance theme song. Not replacing this one. Yeah.
Okay, good. I would not want this one to be replaced fully.
No, of course not.
And then Greg is very short-lived in this segment because he is taken out by Guy Jordan, our newcomer, our most newcomer. The most new of all the newcomers. And we have this mad dash for briefcases. And it was I think it was really well written by, I believe it was Man.
I think Man started it and John finished it, I think.
Awesome. Sawyer Xavier gets a case. Aka Yuri gets a case, or Yuri gets a case. And then we have Gerald Grayson and Regan Cole. I enjoyed how they were done out of order. Again, I think I posted this and I expected it just to be like whoever got the highest score got the first case, and then just kind of went on down the line, but they did not, it was not done that way. It had a little bit of mystery and unpredictability to it. And then we get the results courtesy of John Rusno from Meltdown, who the Meltdown brand consultant, who says that it's going to be Regan Cole and the Crimson Ghost going for the tag titles. It's going to be Sawyer Xavier going for the gauntlet title, and Gerald Grayson going for the not the X Championship, the North American Championship, because he has been acquired by Meltdown in the first, I would say, I'm not going to say jumping ship, but the first character going from one brand to the other in some sort of transaction. That's pretty big news. And I'm sad that we'll never get the Mike Parr, Gerald Grayson feud that was on the doorstep of happening for Back in Business. We can talk about that a little bit after this match. But anyway, what did y'all think about this match, the match write-up, really everything, the match write-up, the results of the briefcase revelations, and Gerald Grayson going to Meltdown?
I love the result write-up. Well, the matches are always good, but I love the reveal of the cases. I wasn't sure how it was going to work. I did have a bit of like COVID fever, but trying to work it out beforehand, I thought I was losing my marbles a bit. Yeah, it was the way they revealed it was pretty great. I'm particularly looking forward to Grayson and Crow, because Grayson has it in him to take it to him for that championship. I know that Crow's been great, but I think that's a really big match to look forward to. He's probably been angling for that Meltdown move for a while. Offhand, I don't recall a whole bunch. SS can probably correct me. He's sort of been in and out in Fallout in the first couple of chapters.
Yeah, he had a long break. Well, not long break really, a couple of months. So he was.
Never helps. But yeah, I think the move is good for him. In terms of the rest of the guys, I enjoyed the Aka Yuri promo. I think it was like she was just, or they were just frustrated with the loss and brought back humanity. It was good for what it needed to be. But the one of the bigger revelations is that Sawyer Zapier, like it's leaps and bounds ahead of where it was to begin with, even down to, you know, like color coding, presentation, font, which sound relatively simplistic, and then the content itself. I think it's night and day, certainly from where it first started, and it's nice to see him get a bit of a reward for that. The UA stuff, yeah, the promos were good. I think it kind of hurt they were back to back in the thread, to be honest, when I read through them. They were very similar. Obviously, they were the same person writing them, same sort of stylistically. I think that kind of, not that it should be a factor, but I think that kind of hurt in my first read through of them, you know, together. But yeah, I really liked the match in the end, and I didn't go into it thinking I would. So props to everyone involved.
Yeah, I wasn't really involved much in this match other than the name of it, which I think many people would say was the best thing about the match, but that's not for me to say. But yeah, it was very fun. You're right. I liked the setup of it. We should shout out OMB, whose idea the structure of the match was, for the most part, and then Man kind of adapted it a little bit into the final form that you saw in the results. But the promos, I pretty much agreed with the results. I had Grayson as the best. I think we see Jay coming out of his coma at the end of this promo, which was really well written. That whole storyline's been really good. It can be kind of difficult to do that sort of thing, but we've had some really good reflection from Grayson throughout his return on that. So yeah, I think that was a deserving win for Gerald and Jam. I liked the Aka promo. I had that as number 2. I know that Grim said he was going to deliberately write short promos, even when he's not in the Gauntlet division, and he's having success there. The dialogue between Aka and Humanity, or Brian is his alter ego, is very good. That was really well written. It was quite menacing and foreboding, the tone that he had throughout that promo. So I think he deserved a case as well. The others, I think Reagan probably was one of the best of the rest. I do think Reagan still lacks something to really make him stand out amongst the crowd in the Meltdown mid-card. His kind of wrestling school, MMA academy or whatever it is. I think it can sometimes read a bit, not so much generic, because some of the characters that he's got in there are interesting, but it doesn't really stand out amongst the promos posted, I don't think. As for Rat in the Kitchen, I think it's not funny. A man just needs to let it go and accept that it was never funny, and he was wrong to think it was funny. And he's sort of saying now, you know, that's the kind of, the point is that it makes no sense, but there's no skill in that. Like, we could all just, you know, debut a random person from some exotic country and, like, you know, give it a name like Potato or whatever and say the joke is that the joke doesn't make sense, but it's just not funny. And I think he's met his end, or will do soon, which is good for the brand. But yeah, really exciting matches coming off the back of this. I'm excited to see the tag team with Aka and Reagan, and Grayson challenging for the North American Championship on Meltdown 10 is good as well.
I think we need Ratton and Sauceman in a loser leaves town match, and maybe both leave.
Well, Sauceman at least has something about him. Yeah, Ratton is just. Yeah, he's just Borat essentially. I was gonna say that exact. I was gonna make that exact connection of Borat. I on the UA promo, I like Jimmy's idea of, like, connecting the two and kind of making them kind of mirrored of each other. I think it works better when they're in a tag team, in a tag team match, versus when you're trying to grade them separately. It kind of makes it tougher to. I mean, there are ways to differentiate, but it makes it a little bit tougher to differentiate the two. And kind of find anything between them, which means they kind of almost I don't know what the right phrase is here, but they kind of hurt each other in a way, by kind of being associated with one another and not standing out on their own. But
The Aka promo, I would like to see. I mean, I feel like we know so much about humanity, and we're seeing humanity so much. I'd like to get a little bit more about Aka specifically, but I do agree, and I think I had it the exact way. Gerald was, in my opinion, the clear number one. Aka, Sawyer, and Reagan Cole were the 2, 3, 4 with the UA really, really close. And the Guy Jordan promo, that was a good start, and I think that I think that I'm interested to see kind of this stone cold, no
nonsense kind of character.
Yeah, no nonsense kind of character. It's very unique for the e-fitting. I think that he might have to kind of expand beyond that because it can be a little bit of a low ceiling, but I'm interested to see. I think it's fun. I definitely think there's a fun aspect to it. So it's a good debut for Guy Jordan. I think the man actually did him a lot of good in the match right up too. And then we are done with page 1 and we go to page 2 of the results. And a lot of discussion here, and then we go into the third chapter. Fallout going with the musical edition on 10, and then Nailed to the X on 11, Valentine's Day Massacre on 12, and The Great North, which is that's the most ominous one in my opinion, so I like that one. And
0-11 Nailed to the X, I think, is going to be kind of X Rules themed with quite a few X Rules matches, and the X championship defense against Summers is going to main event that show as well.
That's going to be fun. Summers and Alistair, if that's what it ends up being, is going to be a lot of fun.
Of course it will be that. Why wouldn't it be that? That's definitely going to be what it will be.
That's definitely what it's going to be. You're right. There's no reason for it not to be. And we jump into Mike Parr against Chris Peacock, and I know we got Prod on. I know Prod, you are of course disappointed you couldn't get one in. But this was a fun little feud. A fun feud that I think started around Fallout 008. If I'm not mistaken. I don't think it started right at the start of chapter 2. I think it was kind of put together in the last couple of episodes. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the idea of Chris Peacock having this list, Mike Parr being on that list. I would want to see maybe a rematch just because we didn't get, I know that we didn't get you at full health, Prod, and I would like to see kind of toe to toe. But yeah, what Prod, how do you feel like this feud went outside of kind of the misfortune timing of COVID and stuff like that hitting you?
No, of course. I was looking forward to the match. I had some terrible idea about a play on the day the music died from like American Pie. I had about a quarter written, and then I just couldn't. It struck me, unfortunately, I couldn't get finished. But it was pretty much to make sure that we had something to do. It kind of fit both of us at that point. I just lost the world title match, and we kind of both needed something to do with Mile High. I like the Peacock list idea. That was totally man's doing. I really enjoyed that. The segment that we had, I think we just had the one segment to sort of set it up. Partly on me. I don't think the segment particularly worked to set it up. I shouldn't have went like a retirement route and then double back immediately. That was too much. But that's lesson learned, I suppose. But no, super grateful for the write-up. I deserve probably to be squashed. And in terms of if I remove my own personal like of winning from the equation, it's probably the best result storyline-wise we could have. Peacock deserved way more than he's got since Fallout. Deserves far more wins, and Parr kind of gives him more to work with a loss, because with a win, what's he really going to do? Like, he's not going up towards the world championship for a while. He's it's a difficult place for him, whereas this is more interesting to write for me. So no, I'm kind of looking forward to it, and we're starting to put together a few ideas for a story going forward. I'm very much looking forward to that. dig into the storylines for some reason these last couple of years.
How do you feel like you've done? I feel like Par, ever since the Summers feud started, Par has been, or the Summers attack, and at the start of the Eliminator, Par has been more of a face aligned character. I know that you've more naturally written him as a heel. How do you feel like you've done this on? I guess it's probably attempt number 2 in the FWA of having Par as a face.
Yeah, it was switching it up a bit. I think there was no choice with Summers than to go a bit more.
You couldn't, you can't out heel Summers. I mean, there's no way.
Exactly. There's no way trying, otherwise it comes across disingenuous and fake, right? So it would never work. So switching it up to get him a bit more sympathetic, I think kind of works with the sort of hard luck story, for lack of a better term, because his thing is, the Prodigy is like, immensely talented, yada yada yada. If he was, he would have won the championship by now that he's been going for 6 years. So I think there's a disconnect. I can't really maintain the sort of Prodigy arrogant persona whilst not actually backing it up with the ultimate achievement that he's clearly stated that he's wanted for a while. So I think I had no choice but to move. It's tricky. There's obviously someone that was in the main event of the show that writes a face character very well. It's certainly more difficult, but it's an enjoyable challenge, that's for sure.
And I would say Peacock has, at least in the segments that were kind of building up to this with his list, I feel like Peacock has he started out with this kind of very face, even when he was with Alan Price at the start of the 2021, kind of face aligned, likable. And he's kind of gotten edgier and a bit meaner and more targeted, I would say. So Chris Peacock's even kind of going the opposite way, where he's almost kind of treading into heel territory.
Yeah, I agree. I think the first character he had, like the introduction to Peacock, I think it probably had a bit of a ceiling. Whereas the way he's adding more layers to it, and you're beginning to have questions like the one you've just posed, is he going a bit more to, a heel side, kind of helps higher the ceiling, for lack of a better analogy.
Yeah. SS, any feelings on I guess beyond just the result of the match, which was kind of known when Prod couldn't get the promo in because of COVID, but like just the development and the maturation almost of the Peacock and Par characters the last couple months.
Yeah, I think Par was coming out of the best kind of angle in the Fed with the Summers kind of mystery, well, not mystery attacker because it was revealed straight away, but that was a very hot angle. And then getting the world title shot, he obviously needed something to do for the pay-per-view. It was a shame, obviously, that Prod couldn't get a promo in, but I thought the Peacock promo was really good again this week. Kind of his own take on almost the buddy cops, which Crash has ran with since its inception during the tag tournament. Yeah, it was good with, I think, Par getting to take the captain's exam or the sergeant's exam or something repeated times, whereas Peacock not given the opportunity to do that. It was a good analogy, but I think there needs to be some more kind of reflection from Peacock on the fact that he has had some opportunities during the year to kind of earn his way to a title shot, which he's come short in. So I'd rather him kind of address those issues rather than playing it off as him not being given the opportunities when the opportunities have been there. But I think we're starting to see kind of peaks of that during his segment work over the last few shows. But yeah, Peacock has been very strong promo wise ever since the brand split, one of the top graded people, but he's come up short a lot, which I think really just is just man's ambition in having very tough matches every single week on the show. But so it was good to see him get a win, even if it was for a no-show. Good win for Man.
We jump to Jackson Phoenix and Nate Savage, a little back and forth here, kind of being very heel oriented towards Khonshu and Epsilon and the tragedy that happened on Fallout 009 with Khonshu and Epsilon. Seems like it's going to be a continuation of that story as we go into chapter 3. But it was still good to see the UA kind of there as a kind of like a rebuttal to Conchu's segment earlier with Yuna. And then we jump into possibly the match of the night in terms of like a one-on-one from the promo aspect, which was Cyrus Truth against Michelle. This was the 5th in the best of 5. I would say that I know it was like 2-1 going into this. And so what happens if Cyrus wins, it's tied or whatever. Not that it was part of the best of 5, but Cyrus did beat Michelle in chapter 1 right before Lights Out.
And that was part of the best of 5. That was the first.
That was the first. Okay.
Retrospectively, that was the first match.
Okay. I for some reason I thought that maybe that he had won on Meltdown 6.
Yeah, that was the first encounter.
Never mind then. Then the same thing with 2-1 stance. I thought I had found a little bit of a
loophole.
Yeah, I thought I'd found a way to tie it, at least get it even, but I was wrong.
If it had been tied, we could have done an angle with overtime or another match in the chapter or something like that. Yeah, so I don't think it would have been kind of like the everything's even, what a waste of time kind of deal. Like there would have been ways around it, but yeah, we didn't need it in the end, I guess.
I thought that it was a great pair of promos. I think I even messaged SS. I wish that you had possibly gone the Shannon route of trying to understand Cyrus. But I really enjoyed it. And I thought that both promos were really, really well done. And I thought that this result, I think I had Michelle by a couple points. I thought this result was correct. And I think I might have had Michelle as the highest graded promo from my end on the entire show. We also had another one on the climax counter here.
Yeah, I wrote a couple of. I had a couple of them in the show. Yeah, and there's a couple more in the main event as well. And Christian does one at the end. He's telling Brock off all night, and then at the end he kind of gives in and has a climax as well. But Crash can bring that out of anyone.
A really well written match going 34, almost 35 minutes here. I think that's appropriate for the 5th and final in a feud ender. We also get a bit of a reunion here towards the end with Gerald Grayson coming out and a hug. I'm trying to exactly find it, but I know that it happens. Yeah, it happens maybe 90-80% of the way through. And then we get Gerald kind of coming back into the ring, helping Michelle to her feet, and there's an embrace between the two, which is setting the table for the Michelle Grayson or Grayson Horowitz Grayson connection reunion for Tag Wars. But anyway, I'm going to throw it to you, SS, because this is your feud, your match. How do you feel like this went down in terms of execution, and how do you feel like it, looking back retrospectively about the whole series?
Well, I enjoyed it. It was fun going up against Cyrus. Quite often over the last few weeks, he's obviously a very tough opponent. Most of the feud was during the matches, so it was fun to try and tell kind of a story over the 5 matches rather than just one match, with the finishers not being used for the first few matches until eventually they're starting to get kind of brought into play, but maybe not in a position where either of them can take advantage of that. MBH becoming more likely to bend the rules as the series goes on, and it becomes harder and harder for it to polish off Truth for the decisive 3rd win. So that aspect of it was fun. I think it could have done with maybe a segment or 2, but I think with Cyrus challenging for the world title over on Fallout, and with me working on the Fallout shows and that kind of stuff, maybe that wasn't something that that definitely wasn't something that we did, that we should have done a bit more of. But I think it was fun and a bit different to try and tell the whole feud through the matches rather than segments, even if it was born out of kind of other commitments more than anything else. But yeah, it was a fun feud, and I liked some of the promos that came out of it. And hopefully it will be something we can do again with Cyrus later on. A proper feud with kind of like a big payoff match, but we'll see.
I wanted to just make one note. I enjoyed Cyrus, kind of the trend of Cyrus trying to understand Michelle through his promos, and I also really enjoyed this Michelle promo with the kind of the dream with her in the room with Golden and Sully and Kennedy and Cyrus, which I was able to kind of see like, oh, those are the people who have been world champions who in theory could challenge for the bounty. And the interview that she had kind of with the, I guess, the decision makers and kind of going through the tenets of, is there character progression? Does it talk about the match? Does it convince you why you should win, etc.? I thought that was really well done. It's kind of a play on some of the conversation about promos. Anyway, I'll throw it to USS about your promo and kind of the design and the concept of it, because I thought that was really fun. I wanted to see kind of what I know you might have talked a little bit about it, but I wanted to hear a little more.
Yeah, I guess the main idea behind the dream sequence at the end, well, the third part of the dream sequence was kind of based on the discussions that there was about the grading scale and all that kind of thing. But people kind of talking about, feeling like they had to hit every single point or whatever to get a high grade, and it was meant to just, like make a point about how ludicrous that is to even think it's possible to hit every single point in that grading rubric. It's not. That's just kind of like a set of guidelines more than anything. And the most important bit is that you hit your character marks well, and even if the character doesn't progress in every single promo, that your understanding of the character is progressing with every single promo, as you kind of like see them go through the experiences or whatever that you've laid out for them. But yeah, so it was mainly kind of a discussion about some of the things that have been said on in terms of the grading scale, I guess. But then I also wanted to do some more bits with Uncle after the Lights Out promo, but it's obviously hinted at throughout the promo that maybe he's not really there having those conversations, but who knows. But that was mainly again a response to the talk that there was too much Uncle in the Lights Out promo, which I still don't think there was. I think he's kind of like an auxiliary promo in that auxiliary character in that promo, bringing out points about Michelle rather than taking the focus himself. And I didn't really want to do another, as you said, like could have gone down the route of sorry, I just lost my microphone there. Could have gone down the route for the previous few promos of doing people from Cyrus's past, but I wanted to mix it up a little bit for the pay-per-view, I guess. And I was happy with how the promo came out. I haven't had a chance to read Cyrus's yet. This is a trend for whenever I'm on this podcast. I hadn't read Prod's After Back in Business either, but that's the only one I haven't read, unfortunately. But I will get around to that at some point.
Yeah, it was well. I don't want to spoil too much. It was really well done. I'm so the too much Uncle in the Lights Out promo. I hope I never said that, because I don't think I believed that.
No, I don't think you did. I think it's I think it's like a running joke amongst man and those kind of guys.
I remember because I graded Kennedy to win that match, and
I know you did. I know.
I know you had the Gang Stars 3 straight times. The only way I can explain it is, and it kind of the reason why I had Ramon win at the Eliminate or the Fall of 07 is and maybe this is something that's very subjective. I can see someone saying no, I disagree, and that's perfectly fine. I felt more the Kennedy promo was more emotional and like hit home in that way. Now it's easy to just write a story about a dead mom and have it be emotional. Ramon did the same thing, so it's kind of like not low-hanging fruit. Maybe that is actually the appropriate phrase for it. But the way that Kennedy wrote that promo, the emotions kind of grabbed me a little bit more. But that's just me. That's just kind of my take on it. I did not think there was too much uncle in it. So anyway, this is not a lights out discussion, but I don't know if I've ever actually talked about why I had Kennedy winning.
What did you think of Cyrus's promo?
I thought it was really well done. I mean, Cyrus, he's kind of going back to this. I thought the Khonshu promo was much different. Like it's fun. He writes both characters, and you know, for the longest time they've kind of been similar in how he writes them. Kind of this underground, dark arts. Khonshu at least is more in that, but Cyrus is kind of on the peripheral of that. And I felt like Cyrus was kind of still in that kind of mold. And the Khonshu promo, which I would compare it to, just because it's the same writer, same handler, kind of broke away from that. We're going to get to that in a second, obviously. But I thought that I think that's one of the things that I enjoyed most about the Cyrus promo in the series is that I feel like Cyrus is trying. Michelle was as well. I feel like Michelle was actually was doing this with the talking to, you know, mentioning Rondo and mentioning anyone that Cyrus has had a major feud with. I feel like Cyrus is also like taking a lot of time, like a lot of his inner monologue has been like trying to understand Michelle, trying to understand Michelle's motives, trying to understand Michelle's intentions, trying to understand kind of what Michelle stands for, and seeing that Michelle is kind of only out to win and like will use underhand tactics or has used underhand tactics against him, and kind of him coming to grips with that. I think that Cyrus is always like one of the things that Cyrus is always a tentpole of his character is like that when he's facing someone, especially someone that he has some sort of like, there's something deeper than just like an on the surface one-off match. He likes to kind of see, does this person have like, where is the moral line with this character? And I think that that's a tentpole of what Cyrus kind of goes through in his promo.
No, I won't add a whole bunch to that. I just think Cyrus's monologues are probably up there with the best that we have. When that character just talks, you know, line after line, they're probably the most engaging type of monologues that I read. I thought probably both promos were top 5 to 6 on the show, from roughly speaking, but I did have Michelle winning, I would say. The inherent problem I had with Cyrus's is the last sort of, as it tails off towards the end, it's geared towards a final battle, which I get because it's match 5, but then it has the contradiction to me with the fact that match 5 could have been 2-2-1. And that's such a minor point, but it was just a tiny bit of an annoyance. The Michelle stuff, it's always well written, unfortunately, as I came to learn earlier in the year. But yeah, it had vibes of that. Only I think because of the dream sequence. I think it had vibes of the train promo some point before Back in Business SS. I can't remember when it was, but
carnal contention.
It definitely had vibes of that for sure. But I really enjoyed it. It's always well written. But yeah, I thought I wouldn't fancy facing Michelle 5 times. That's for sure. I
think ultimately, I think that the result was correct. I think that while Cyrus's monologues are really good, I think that Cyrus sometimes can write the same type of promo, whereas it's not true for his other character, which we're going to get to in a second. But I think that this promo from Cyrus kind of felt like the same kind of promo that he often will write. But I agree with Prod. I do think like his monologues, and especially his inner monologues, like there's like a phrase, this is just me pulling this up on my phone. You know, in Cyrus's mind, he relives the matches that has brought him the Mile High, the match in Meltdown 7 where Michelle took the low road to pull ahead in the series, the main event at 8 where she assaulted the referee, preventing Cyrus from getting a win, and then it keeps going on and on. He's like, you know, she's likely to get rewarded for her treachery, rewarded for her weakness. Weakness is in all caps. Cyrus's rage is evident. I just think like him kind of when he goes into like those recaps, but like he is still like having his character express emotion through those recaps. I think that's like really well done. And I think he's really, really good at that. Anyway, this was my match of the night in terms of the promo quality, and the match quality. I think it might have even been the best match right up. So well done, SS. Again, we go to the next post, which is a promo for Tag Wars, a Meltdown exclusive, and all of the characters who
who's Devon's partner.
I know who it might be. There's two possibilities. There's one that the ball is in this person's court and the other person is kind of as a backup, just not out of like preference, just because like who got back to me and who responded. It is not Randy Ramon. It is not O'Scissor. It is not anyone related to Sean. It is
Ryan Hall.
It is not Ryan Hall. It is not Ryan Hall. It is someone, I don't want to go too deep or to give too many spoilers, but it is someone who has been in the FWA somewhat recently. And that's all
about time Sauce Man got a push, isn't it?
It's about time Sauce Man got a push. No, it is Jimmy actually mentioned that as like, you should just do Sauce Man, and John was like, no, Jimmy, it's two handler tag teams, damn it.
Oh, is it? Oh yeah, it is specifically that. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's specifically two handler tag teams. That's why it's like Noah Stock and the New Breed as a Freebird rule. And that's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm gonna be interested. It's gonna be fun seeing Noah with like Damian Lynch and doing promos. So I'm not sure. You know, I know that like Parr and Summers are feuding, but then you get like Parr and Summers or Parr and Comeback Kid or Prodigy and Comeback Kid in a tag team. You guys are gonna be working across the aisle in multiple ways. Prod.
It's exciting because it's exciting because they've obviously got a good dynamic and good chemistry from the feud. So I'm looking forward to seeing those Noah Stock and New Breed promos as well.
Yeah.
Yep. No, big credit. John as well floated the suggestion to me. He listened. I was getting a bit fatigued from the old the New Breed and Parr on the shows. A bit of variance is nice to team up with someone else. So yeah, thanks. I assuming it was John that kind of put the work in, but if it was anyone else, thank you for whoever put that together. Yeah, it'll be good.
Pretty sure. Yeah,
I imagine it was John. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure John gets the credit there for the whole concept. And then kind of talking about the rules and rewards, which I enjoy, that it's not just like a one and done tournament, that it's like almost like a round robin type of situation, and whoever has the most points at the end will be going to the finals. I think
I'm super excited for this. I think this is going to be awesome, like with the teams that are in it as well. It's going to be a really cool tournament with good prize as well. That'll be interesting.
So then we go to, I believe, match 8, which is the
match of the night.
Gauntlet Championship. Harry, the Sane Wizard, going up against Joe Burr, the reigning and defending Gauntlet Champion, for 8 seconds because Harry gets a schoolboy roll up using Joe Burr's excitement and energy against him.
I just want to say, I don't know if anyone read it, but I think the Joe Burr entrance was the best entrance that I've ever written for anyone, because he's been doing the Goldberg walk to the ring above this. So I had him doing that, but on a wheelchair after the Mile High massacre earlier on. Yeah.
So there's a vague cheer in the Ball Arena as Burr appears on stage. He's still hunched forward, walking with a heavy limp and dragging his FWA Gauntlet Championship. I feel like I'm doing like a book reading, but it's just funny. Burr reaches by the nephews, and the nephew's own uncle all move to one side, allowing Hollywood to limp past him and roll under the bottom rope. It's
poor
funny.
Detective Joe. Yeah.
I just like
I took great joy in writing that match for Joe Burr losing that championship. Like, it's about time.
I enjoyed the vague cheer. A vague cheer is heard. Anyway, it's a rough night for Joe Burr to go 0 for 2. And yeah, but it is the era of Harry the Sane Wizard, which is just a testament to John's ability to find success with even peripheral characters, or what were originally peripheral characters, I should say. And then We have Owen, the intern, making his appearance and hitting a flip pile driver on the new Gauntlet Champion to set up a peripheral character showdown for the Gauntlet Championship in the future. It's going to be fun. And if anything, the peripheral aspect of this next match may indicate the possibility of retiring the Gauntlet Championship in the near future.
I think we should rename it to the peripheral championship, and it can only be people's like so you could have like Crazy Harry against Dr. Grimes for the peripheral championship.
I think that,
like that.
Yes, we'd have Big Al against any one of Cyrus Truth's characters that come from the council. And we go, after some comments, we go to a segment of a returning character called XYZ. My character. Not many people know of XYZ. He is wacky enough to be a peripheral character in and of himself, but he is fun, and he will be on one of the brands. I believe he'll be on Fallout, because Golden's on Meltdown, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I've already written his first promo with him, and I don't even know who he's facing, which is probably not good for actual grading, but we'll see. And then we go to the entrances for the Mile High Massacre main event. Gabrielle Montgomery. You've Got a Friend in Me by Randy Newman. Every time I hear this song now, I am going to think of Jeremy Best. It's on that level now in terms of association. We have Conchu with his entrance, and I think I actually had like a broken link when I was writing these, so that's on me. And then we have another song that I immediately associate to a character, which is Crash. And of course, we have Randy Ramone with his Rise, Get Yourself Together crowd pleaser. And we have Man and SS tag teaming on this main event, this amazing write-up that ends with a lot of ladders, and I think there were even some chairs, some tables, and it ends in kind of a mirrored fashion from the main event. From the tag Mile High Massacre match, where Ramon outdid Crash going for the belts at the end. This one has Crash outdoing Ramon going for the belts at the end. Crash is the new world champion. Finally, after it seems like Crash has been on the doorstep of winning the big one for more than a year, he has done it. How do we feel about this really epic match that went 41 minutes and 12 seconds and ended with a new world champion?
Yeah, the write-up was spectacular. It was a really good match. And Crash, obviously very, very happy for him. It's been kind of one of those things that you almost can't believe hadn't happened over the last sort of, I want to say 18 months, probably longer. But no, I thoroughly enjoyed that and the results, although part of me is a bit sad for Ramon only getting, he had a very tough run, didn't he? I think he won the title like 4 shows ago, and has had a pretty busy time of it. In terms of the match itself and the promos, I'm very happy I didn't have to grade it, to be honest. I think I had, without actually scoring it, I had Crash, Ramon, and I had Conchu all pretty close. And I really enjoyed Conchu's one. I just maybe think there quite wasn't enough there. Crash's concept with the hotel was great. Crash always comes out with a really good concept. I remember the Kennedy Back in Business one that was so good as well. I really enjoyed it. I will say, towards the end, I was ready for the end, but it wasn't one where I thought it went too long, and the concept was that engaging. It kept me going. And then same with Ramones. I loved it, although I thought I don't know if it's what I was looking or reading it on, but I thought the layout suffered a tiny bit. But I think that's the case with some spoiler tags and multiple spoiler tags. Sometimes it just doesn't look as aesthetically pleasing as you'd want. Gabrielle's stuff, I'm glad to see ET back. I thought it was solid, and then I thought the the sort of journey she's been on has been great. I need to catch up on the return piece that ETE posted in the out of character thing. I've seen that there, but I haven't actually read it yet, which probably would help me. And then the Jeremy Best thing. It's such a difficult thing to write. And I think it was a big ask for him in this setting with these people against him. Not to say that anything he did was poor or bad. It was great. I just think that if I had Crash, Ramon, or even personally if I had Conchu, I wouldn't have been upset with the result. But no, I'm very, very happy that Crash is there and interested to see where it goes.
I think it was pretty much those three, and it was those three kind of fighting at the top, and then Gabby was 4 and Jeremy Best was 5. And then it's nothing to say about Jeremy Best's promo. His promo was really good. I think that it was kind of on the simpler side, where he's just kind of, it's just a back and forth dialogue that he's having. Whereas the other, well, at least the top 3 kind of had a little bit more of a more complex aspect to it, whether it was the concept or just the situation that the characters were in. The Gabby promo, I know that there's a lot of different differentiating feelings about the Gabby's promos. I feel like the more that ET kind of goes to this kind of simple inner monologue style with Gabby, the more I'm kind of wanting something different. But that's not to say that the writing's not good. The writing's really good. I just think that it kind of loses a bit of creativity at times, on the creativity category, when it's kind of feels similar in terms of the approach. Conchu's, I know SS is going to talk about Conchu's promo. Conchu's promo was really well done. It was a different type of promo than what Cyrus, the writer, usually does for his characters. The Crash promo, and then SS mentioned this, and it will mention this, going to second person perspective was awesome, especially kind of making the same. It kind of reminded me of the UA promo in the sense that like the characters were mirrored, except like he's talking about his opponents now. It's like a mirrored experience of this opening scene. I thought that was really well done. I thought that the character of Crash really shined, of like I'm gonna, basically beat the crap out of you with a smile on my face. I think that he's really leaning into that more, and I like that a lot. The Ramon promo was creative and crafty. And I don't know if there was enough character development in there. It reminded me a lot of Oz's Nova Diamond promo for Carnal Contendership, in terms of kind of the retro feel of it. But yeah, SS, sorry for jumping in there. I just wanted to give I wanted to give you the main event closing thoughts on this one.
Yeah, I enjoyed all 5 of the promos that were posted. I think the Jeremy Best promo was enjoyable. It didn't have enough Mr. Scorpion for my liking, who's up there amongst my favorite peripheral characters, and certainly a contender for the peripheral championship when that gets brought in. But I feel maybe this opportunity came a little bit too soon for Best in terms of where he is in his narrative arc, in his promos. But that's not to say that there won't be more opportunities like this for Best. He's an exciting new character on Fallout for sure. Gabrielle's promo, I liked the kind of like the vignette-ish kind of nature of it, broken up with the repeated line from the close of the Fallout 009 show. There are no friends in Mile High. She kind of has these disparate experiences, each of which like kind of brings out some thoughts and reflections on each of her opponents. It was really good match focus, and I liked the interaction, or more reflection really than interaction, with Rupert Watkins at the end. That's an interesting strand in the Gabrielle promos at the moment. I think the other 3 were the 4 runners for the win here. The Ramon promo, I did like the Ramon promo. I thought it was enjoyable. I liked the concepts of it. It's quite creative in that regard. I would agree with you in that it was reminiscent of the retro feel of Nova Diamond. I also found the formatting was reminiscent of what I think Alistair Black had done maybe at last year's Mile High as well. And we're obviously seeing more of these kind of interactive promos, like with multiple endings, kind of create your own adventure-ish almost. But there was a lot of kind of unique points about the promo, which made it feel fresh as well. Sean's writing is always top notch, so I enjoyed that.
I had Sean in third with the Ramon promo, and the other two slightly ahead. Crash's promo with the second person was phenomenal. I thought that was so creative how he wrote the whole promo in that kind of point of view, but with different perspectives of the five opponents. I thought the start sequence was particularly strong with the hotel, where it's kind of jumping back and forth with the Crash central character talking to these five people who are kind of coming into his world. I thought that was there's kind of like a very dreamlike quality to that part of the promo, similar to what I tried to do quite a lot with some of Michelle's, but this was really, really effective, especially with Crash kind of talking down the lens. I thought that was so creative from Smooth Jazz Wolf. We drafted him first on Fallout. I think Crash is probably the best writer in the Fed. Not including me, of course. He's the best writer in the Fed. I think this was really creative. I agree with what Prod said about maybe towards the end. I felt like the end could come, and I think the concept had been stretched by that point. It's quite difficult, I guess, to keep that kind of style up for thousands of words. But I did think it was an incredibly creative promo. But I had Conchu as my winner. Unfortunately, Conchu didn't win. But I thought the Conchu promo was phenomenal. I thought it was really gripping, more so than any other promo that was posted. I was kind of like hanging on every word. I thought the stuff with Epsilon was fantastically written. I felt as emotionally invested in Conchu How trying to reconstruct this weird homunculus type creature that he's created himself. I felt as much emotional attachment to that as I did fit reading the Randy Ramon 007 promo, which is a testament to how well written that was. And I thought the match focus was great in how even after the first few thousand words of the promo is presenting how important Epsilon is. I loved the alpha, beta, gamma section. I thought that was a really nice creative touch. But after the first few thousand words, the promo being about how important Epsilon was, how he's willing to put this aside to fulfill kind of like a procedural obligation for Watkins and Robinson, because that's how important the World Championship has become to him. I think that got across the importance of the match very well, and furthered this obsession storyline that's been running through the Conchu promos ever since the start of the Fallout Contender tournament. So I did have Conchu winning. I think if any of the top three would have won, I think it could have gone any of those ways. Strong promos from Gabrielle and Best as well. But yeah, big congratulations to Crash, even though I didn't have him winning. I thought it was a phenomenal promo, and he's a worthy world champion, obviously, for about a month at least.
Do you, to go back to, and I don't want to like harp too much on this, to go back to the Gabby promo, because I think Gabby's promos are kind of maybe divisive is the right word. And I'm a little lower on Gabby's promos than other people. Do you feel like the inner monologue, the kind of lack of dialogue, the kind of Gabby, and I know there was a story strand in this promo, but like the kind of the self-reflective aspect of Gabby, how she's been basically all of 2021 ever since the loss of Desert Storm. Like, do you think that that's okay to continue, or do you feel like it's about, because I feel like it's about time to kind of go beyond that. Do you feel like it's okay to continue that, or do you?
I think it's like, I guess I do kind of have adjusted expectations from a Gabrielle promo now. Because when the scene with Rupert, I can't remember if it was 008 for Cybernetico or 009 for the Rondo match. But the first scene with Rupert which was like a big contrast to kind of how their relationship had gone. I thought that was quite a dramatic scene that E.T. had written. But it was more in kind of the subtleties of his writing, whereas this was back to a much more reflective kind of piece throughout. But yeah, I don't think he needs kind of like big explosive events. I think he's finding quite a lot of drama in smaller moments, which is really good. But I do think the three promos from Crash, Conchu, and Ramon were all just really, really creative and really well written pieces. Yeah, I think those three were the three that kind of it came down to in terms of picking a winner.
I believe that I had Crash and Ramon tied. At this point, I was the last one to grade this match. It was already decided. But I believe I had them tied. And if I could go back and grade it again, I'm not sure exactly how I'd go. I think that maybe Crash might take it by a hair just because of I think that his character was shining through quite well. I also think the Crash promo was a little messy. In terms of like there was some formatting stuff and some spacing stuff, but and the Ramon promo to me did not feel that way. But I think that Crash and even like the Gangstars promo, like Prod said, it kind of can be that way, especially if you're posting at 3 o'clock or 3:14 or whatever.
Yeah, I think that the Sean promo was definitely the cleanest in this match, maybe the cleanest on the card. But I think Crash, the creativity of Crash and the quality of content, kind of outstripped that for me in the grading.
Yeah. So the next is going on to chapter 3 and also 2022. We're closing up on 2021 and going to 2022. So I got about 8 minutes left before for the third time Zoom says you are doing this for free and we're not going to let you do this for free forever. So really quickly, what are we most excited about for chapter 3? It could be on the Meltdown side with Tag Wars or the Fallout side with the assortment of different storylines that could come up, X title, tag titles, etc.
Well, I'm excited for Moot, obviously. I'm excited for Moot challenging Golden Rock. Going to be a huge match, but I think Tag Wars, I think, is the thing I'm most excited about in the third chapter. Sorry for cutting you off, Rod.
No, all good. You said exactly. Tag Wars is the standout for the next chapter, I would say. I'm very much looking forward to Crow and Grayson, though. I honestly think that will be great. Fallout probably needs to up its game, SS, because I think Meltdown was the last chapter.
Yeah, just I would agree. I think they just edged that one. And Meltdown 10 looks amazing as well. You've got the North American Championship match, the start of Tag Wars, and also one night in Meltdown bounty hunting, all of which should be really fun. So yeah,
I'm excited for the bounty. I'll say I enjoy the fact that we already know X title, North American title. We have matches already slotted. Summers versus Alistair. And I echo Prod. I think Crow versus Grayson might be the match of the whole chapter that I'm looking forward to. At least the ones that have already been announced or that we already kind of have an idea are going to happen. I think that one's going to be a chapter stealer. And let's do a really, really quick, again, a little bit of time left. Quick predictions for 2022. It could be a prediction about a character whom you think will just kind of have a breakthrough year. It could be a prediction for who you think might win the world championship, win Carnal Contendership, whatever, a third brand, gunfight. It could be anything you want, 1 or 2 predictions for 2022.
Gunfight as a third brand would be something, but I think we can barely sustain 2 at the moment, so a third is way off. I think Uncle will be world champion before the end of 2022. That's my big prediction for the next year.
I think it's a good shout. Yeah, I think it's a good shout. Prod.
I would say maybe it's not so much a great prediction. I would say Crow for the Carnal Contendership. And I would say
that's a good
Stars
prediction.
won't be together.
That's a not a hot take, but that's a good shout. What was the second part? I'm sorry, I might have gotten excited.
No, it's good. I don't know. I don't think the Gang Stars will be together much longer. Would be my prediction.
I'm with you. I posted in Discord. I think Alistair's wins Carnal Contendership, and we got Alistair versus Crash at Back in Business. Main event. Let's see. I think that Danny Toner will win the world championship at some point in 2022. And I think that I still think that Mike Parr and Sean Summers are going to somehow end up as a tag team and win the tag team titles. I don't know exactly how or what that road looks like. I have no reason to believe that. I just think that it makes too much sense. But anyway, yeah. that's it for 2021. What was the last thing? We got, again, a little bit of time left. What was, in your opinion, the biggest moment from 2021? And I'll start with Prod for this one.
Oof. I think it's Michelle's Carnal contendership was pretty huge. It was kind of like waiting for it to happen.
That kind of breakthrough moment.
But I also thought the tag match at Back in Business. Yeah, for sure. And then coupled with the tag match at Back in Business that yourself, Tig and Shake and everyone were in, I think just to see those titles elevated to such a level following the tournament, where it's pretty much with match of the year, I think it's gonna come out as. I'd be shocked if it didn't, obviously. And then the fact that what we've got now, we had a Mile High Massacre for the tag titles, whereas 18 months ago, I probably could have picked up tag titles on my worst day. It's a whole different kettle of fish. I have no idea what the question was, so I apologize, but I think
You're
that was
good.
the answer.
You're good. SS, biggest moment or story
I'd give a
yeah.
shout out to our weekly results and go for 002 on Cosmic Playground as episode and moment, and probably the only rival to match of the year, right? Yeah, point out there. I think it will come down to those two maybe in the awards. But yeah, it's been a good year for the FWA for sure.
I agree. All right, guys, thank you all so much for doing this Mile High pay-per-view recap pod. And for everyone listening, this is TGO, SS, and the Prodigy. And as we go into 2022, looking forward to a lot of good stuff, and especially Chapter 3 with Meltdown, Tag Wars, and Fallout getting the tag titles and having an X title match already kind of on the cards, and a musical episode, which is going to be a lot of fun. So anyway, thanks again, SS and Prod and everyone listening.